Australia, the land down under, is a place of stunning beauty, unique wildlife, and a rich, ancient history that stretches back tens of thousands of years. From its connection to southern Asia, the arrival of indigenous peoples, to the dramatic moments of British colonization and beyond, Australia's history is both fascinating and complex. In today's video, we'll explore the story of Australia, from ancient land bridges to the modern nation we know today. Our story begins over 50,000 years ago, when the land we now call Australia was connected to southern Asia. During the last ice age, sea levels were much lower, exposing a vast landmass known as Sundaland, connecting Southeast Asia, Indonesia and New Guinea with Australia. This land bridge allowed early humans to migrate southward into what was then a completely untouched continent. The migration was a monumental journey where humans crossed exposed land and shallow seas, bringing with them new knowledge, tools and skills. These ancient travellers adapted to Australia's unique landscapes and wildlife, eventually giving rise to a distinct culture. The first Australians, the Indigenous peoples, lived as hunter-gatherers for tens of thousands of years. Their diet consisted of native animals such as kangaroos, emus and fish, as well as bush foods like berries, nuts and plants. Kangaroo, a primary source of protein, was often hunted with spears, while bushcraft skills were passed down through generations. The Indigenous Australians had a deep knowledge of their environment, using plants for food, medicine and shelter. Their connection to the land was not just practical but spiritual, woven into their Dreamtime stories. These stories were not just myths. They contained essential information about survival, passed down through song, dance and art. Their culture is one of the oldest continuous living cultures in the world, stretching back tens of thousands of years. Australia's long isolation from the rest of the world came to an end in the 17th and 18th centuries, when European explorers charted the coast. In 1770, Captain James Cook claimed the eastern part of the continent for Britain, marking the beginning of European interest in Australia. In 1788, the British First Fleet arrived to establish a penal colony at what is now Sydney. The arrival of the British had a devastating impact on Indigenous Australians. With no natural immunity to European diseases like smallpox, many Indigenous communities were decimated. The spread of disease, along with violence and displacement, led to the loss of many lives and traditional lands. Entire Indigenous societies were disrupted, leading to long-lasting effects on their culture and way of life. Despite its early struggles, the colony began to expand, particularly after the discovery of gold in the 1850s. The Australian gold rush attracted thousands of immigrants from around the world, transforming the economy and society. Towns sprang up overnight, and Australia's population boomed, setting the stage for its future growth. By the late 19th century, Australia was made up of 6 separate colonies, each with its own government. But there was growing momentum for unification. In 1901, the colonies came together to form the Commonwealth of Australia, marking a new chapter in the nation's history. Australia's federation was a peaceful transition, but it came with its own set of challenges, particularly regarding Indigenous peoples who were largely excluded from the new political system. In the 20th century, Australia found itself drawn into global conflicts. During World War I, Australian soldiers fought bravely at Gallipoli, a campaign that helped shape the nation's identity. World War II further strengthened Australia's global standing, particularly through its alliance with the United States. After the wars, Australia underwent significant social and economic changes. There was a post-war immigration boom, with millions of people from Europe and beyond coming to start new lives, contributing to Australia's multicultural identity. In recent decades, Australia has made strides in addressing historical wrongs, particularly with Indigenous land rights. The 1992 Mabo decision recognised Indigenous land ownership, a major step toward reconciliation. However, the journey is ongoing. Today, Australia is a vibrant, multicultural democracy with a strong economy. Its cities are modern and its people proud of their heritage, both Indigenous and immigrant. Australia's history is one of resilience, adaptation and transformation. From its ancient roots as part of a larger southern landmass to its modern role on the global stage, Australia's story is far from over. It continues to evolve, shaped by its past, but looking confidently to the future. Special thanks to all those who have helped tell the story of Australia, from its First Nations peoples to modern-day historians.